It's Movie Time is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.org.
The award-winning It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to the shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org. I'm Mary Yerina.
I'm John DeSando. This is It's Movie Time. Mary,
Yes.
there's a movie out called Jackie. I wonder who that's about.
You get 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count.
Jacqueline Kennedy, a biopic by a terrific director, Pablo Larraín,
Yes.
who has also done, as coming out, Neruda, and then previous to that, No. Both of them politically oriented.
Very politically oriented. He also did a film called The Club, which I think was somewhat overlooked in this country because of Spotlight. But it was about the same subject, but took place in his home country of Chile.
Wonderful. So, how does he handle it with a biopic about Jacqueline Kennedy at the time of her husband's assassination?
Well, I felt he did a wonderful job because he really focused on Jackie. He wasn't distracted by the other male characters in her life and in this story. The film is almost so exclusively focused on Jackie. As I thought about it, the president is barely an element in the film.
Yeah, a guy who looks just like Jack Kennedy, except
He did.
he's shorter.
He did. I had to do a couple of double takes
Oh
to
my
think
goodness.
he wasn't
Oh my goodness.
CGI'd into the film.
Let me see what his name is. Casper Philipson.
Yeah, and I understand he's a Dutch actor as well.
Okay.
So we went all the way to
Yes.
the Netherlands to find
You are so right. Lorraine focuses on her to the extent that I almost said, pull away, please. But now, fortunately, Natalie Portman is a beautiful woman.
Beautiful.
And bears a resemblance to Jackie without being an imitation.
Agreed. And I was worried when I first heard interviews with her about how she prepared for this role because she really focused on the voice, wanting to get the public image voice of the breathiness
Yes.
and the southern lills.
I know.
And I thought, is this going to be an imitation and not really capture the spirit of this very complex woman during this very complex time in her life and sad and tragic time as well. And once the film starts and you understand the dichotomy between her public image and her personal image, I really think capturing the voice enabled Natalie Portman to then really delve into the complexity that I think the director wanted to show. Because as much as we'd like to think that we're all our public images, and she did a fantastic job in real life, Jackie Kennedy, of cultivating not only her image but that of her husband, we're not black and white that way. There's a lot of gray, and this film really delves into the gray areas of her life and her personality. And it really, I felt he did a wonderful job as a man not of English descent, directing his first English language film, and really directing his first film where a woman was the protagonist. Most of his films are about the male character as the protagonist.
And often political, or in the case of Neruda, also a poet. And I like your emphasis on the voice. For me, growing up with Jackie Kennedy as the First Lady, I was at first stunned when I heard her voice.
How so?
It seemed childish, high-pitched. It didn't seem like a debutante's voice. But as you get used to it, just as you get to Natalie Portman's depiction, which I would say is flattering to Jackie Kennedy's voice, which was just odd, Mary. Here there's a beautiful, cultured woman, and then when she spoke, it was like a silent film star suddenly speaking, and I go, my gosh, again. Anyway, yes.
You had images of Lena Lamont and it's Sing in the Rain.
Yes. So I was very pleased that Portman carried that off, and I think she underplayed that voice. But you mentioned the difference between the public and the private. Does Lorraine capture that in this film?
I definitely think he did, because even her voice, from going from the very public scenes that all of us are familiar with,
Yes.
either through our own life experience or looking back at history, her voice in dealing with people was very differently portrayed in private, and she was very much more deep, more direct,
Yes.
not that breathy lilt that you
Yes,
heard.
yes.
And so it really showed how her public image and brand and personification was very different in private, because she was very much in control.
Oh, she was. I mean, even with Bobby Kennedy.
Bobby Kennedy, the journalist that she invited
Right.
into her home.
And that apparently is based on Theodore White.
It is. I also read that there were 2 interviews she gave for Life after the assassination of
Right.
President Kennedy. One was with Theodore White, which this one's based on.
Right.
The other one was later in 1964 with Arthur Schlesinger,
Oh, yes.
which was never released during her
Oh,
life.
really? Yeah.
But apparently this film drew heavily from that as source material
Okay.
as well.
Yeah. I very much like the way that the film is framed. And it's framed with this interview by an unnamed journalist played by Billy Crudup. Terrific, kind of deadpan with a little bit of piercing reporter's questions to her. She's every bit up to it.
Yes, she is.
She's smoking her cigarette and she's da-da-dying, and then she says, by the way, I don't smoke.
Exactly. And she also, I loved how she would open up herself to the journalist and then say, but I didn't say that.
And you, of course, won't write that. And at one point, she even takes his pad and starts editing. This woman is in control.
Very much in control.
I really thought, Mary, that was the first time. And now, of course, I wouldn't be able to comment on Eleanor Roosevelt, but for me, it was the first time I saw a first lady understand media, television, as her husband did.
Agreed. And she had the benefit of actually coming to the marriage from media. In fact, that's how they met. She was hired as a receptionist, and then moved up to be kind of the girl on the street photographer, capturing. She would ask questions to the man on the street and capture their photo, and that was what was published, and that was her role in the media, and that's how she met John Kennedy.
Yeah.
She was a photographer assigned to cover him.
And she's quick to tell this reporter that she knows the media.
Yes,
because he blows it with her and tells her that she would have a future
in broadcasting.
And he goes like, "Oh my God, I don't believe I just said that."
I'm telling this to Jackie Kennedy.
To Jackie Kennedy. The pageantry of the funeral. Does Lorraine capture that, or how do you react to that?
Well, I think I said to you when we were screening the film, was it my imagination, or was there actual historical footage cut into the scene? And there were several scenes that I felt that, and in fact that is what happened. So I thought it was very seamless, though, because the event itself was full of pageantry,
Right.
and captured for all time in film and photos. The thing that I thought was interesting was how seamless that the real footage was interjected with the new footage. And the new footage, in fact, very much like the style of the film, really was about the faces.
Yes.
The face of Jackie Kennedy, the face of Bobby
Boy,
Kennedy.
yes. Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah. So all of those scenes were intercut, and I thought it was extremely well done. And I think capturing the faces brought more of the motion to the individual, as opposed to this grand scale event, which she orchestrated.
And the seduction of this would be to try to create this great pageantry in your own film. But he doesn't do that. He captures it. But what I like, too, is that there are points at which the original voice is put in over, as you see, versus her. And then I think, particularly for Jack Kennedy, they put in his voice while you have this guy who looks just like him. I mean, some great gymnastics with the film that I really enjoyed, including seeing original footage and then seeing. I understand he may have photographed in 16 millimeter.
Oh, really?
Yes. I don't know that for sure. I have read that.
But that would give you the same material feel.
Yes.
Interjecting the older film with
Yes.
the newer film.
Yeah, yeah. Mary, any negative you can see in this film? Because, you know, as critics, we're cheerleaders for films. If we can see a good film, we're ready to tell everybody. And this is, you know, I'm revealing my point. I think this is a terrific film, even before we give it a grade. But is there, so we have thousands of people who are listening. Is there anything they should watch out for that you might say, hey, you might not like this?
I think it's startling how close the camera is, not just on Natalie Portman's face, but also Billy Crudup's face as the journalist. Yes. I mean, and it's a little off-putting and almost feels very much like a television show because it's so close.
Yes.
So I think that can be a little startling.
Yep.
The other thing is it's really a slice of life biopic. A lot of biopics are about someone's whole life.
Yes.
And there's you know, some sort of resolution. There's an ending. This is really just a few weeks as told through post interviews about her, how she was feeling, how she made decisions. And there's not a story arc here. And so if you're looking for a great story that has a beginning, middle, end, and a nice, neat conclusion.
But Mary,
this isn't it.
Of course, we all know the story. And that's
we think we do.
Right, we think we do. But the broad outlines of it we know, which is to me always the brilliance of cinema, of people who really know how to put the film together, even if you know the story.
True.
If you can be drawn in, and I swear most people listening to us at this point should be warned, you will be drawn in.
Agreed. Because it's a compelling portrait of this complex person that we think we know at the worst time in her life. And we all can relate to grief and what's behind the curtain of the public persona as to how she handled grief and having to make these massive decisions.
And Natalie Portman portrays a class act,
she does.
Which Jackie Kennedy, you can't say anything but. She is a class act. Now, Mary Yerina, we have the obligation here to affix a grade.
Oh no!
And what grade would you give the biopic Jackie?
I would give Jackie an A-.
Oh, yo! Where's the minus?
The minus for me was in the third character, I would say, in the film was the music, which was beautiful.
Whoa, but
almost overbearing.
Cacophonous.
Yeah.
This is the lady who did the music for Under the Skin with Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
And boy, it's not throughout the whole film.
It's not, but it almost becomes overbearing at
Oh,
points. So that's the one little minus I would give.
And if you believe me, Mary, I've already written my review, and on it I affixed the grade A-.
You did not.
I did.
Where's your minus?
I actually did. And my minus is close-ups like handheld cameras. After a while, just really get to me.
Okay.
However, I'm saying this, Mary, it's very possible Natalie Portman will win the Oscar.
It is truly a compelling performance, and I would not be surprised if she won because there's so many close-ups which got the A- grade for you, but all of the acting is almost exclusively in her face.
Yes.
And wow, is that hard to do, to only use one aspect of your being to portray the depth and complexity of grief and remembrance and the decision she was making as First Lady, to only do that through her face and do it so well and draw you in. It's pretty phenomenal.
Well, Mary, I wish the Academy could have heard from you on that. But I think if Isabelle Huppert is listening in, she might now be rethinking that celebration party for top actress.
She may indeed.